So when I sit here in the morning and relax and I think about what's on my mind, and I try to compose my thoughts in a legible way so I can write them in my journal. Because the way my brain thinks and how I think inside my head is one way, but then when I try to put it down on paper, it doesn't always match up and it loses something, and I don't know how to accomplish that or master that. The ability to transcribe from my brain onto paper the things I think. But the one topic that comes to mind I've been thinking about this morning, well, since last night. My mother is 91 years old. She turned 91 on November 19th. She's an only child, and she had 7 children. Of the 7 children, there are 3 of us left. Myself, my younger sister, she's 18 months younger than me, and our oldest brother. He's going to get a dialysis machine, and he'll be fitted with a port in his stomach, and at night when he goes to bed he'll hook up to his dialysis machine, which will flush his kidneys, do the work that they no longer are doing, removing toxins from the body, etc., etc. My sister-in-law said that the doctor said that with dialysis, my brother can live his life to the end at the normal expected longevity that he would have lived without having stage 4 kidney disease. Meaning if he didn't have any problem with his kidneys and he would have lived to be in his 90s, he still will. Which is a comforting thought, but still, when you've already lost 4 siblings, getting the news that one of them has some type of serious illness, it's disturbing. My father is 80. He is her second husband. Technically, he's my stepfather, but we never call him that. He raised us from the time we were small, and we call him our father because he is. And he takes care of my mother. He makes sure she eats. He makes sure she gets to all her doctor appointments. And he would be lost without her. And she without him, I'm sure. But he's been telling me for the past year that her forgetfulness is getting worse and that he's begun to get worried. Well, we've noticed the forgetfulness for 20 years. But yeah, it's worse. And in fact, I called her yesterday to talk to her, and when I talked to her on the phone, she was embarrassed because she had found out that my niece, which is my sister's daughter, my mother's granddaughter, who she sees almost every week except for when the weather's really bad, her name is Anna, and Anna's birthday was January 3rd. It's a bittersweet day because 2 years ago on January 3rd my brother died unexpectedly. He had a heart attack. So there was a get-together for my niece's birthday. She's 24. And my mother says, "I can't believe it," she said. "I don't know what I was thinking." She said, "I thought that Anna was 16 and still in high school." She said, "I can't understand why I thought that. I can't understand why I didn't realize." I told my mother that even I have a problem remembering birthdays, and especially how old everybody is when they have their birthday. In fact, yesterday, when I called my son to tell him about this episode with my mother, he said, "Mom, I'm going to be 37 this month, right?" So sadly, this memory displacement has gone from my mother to me to my son. But in any case, I gave my mother reassurance that it wasn't a big deal that she couldn't remember how old Anna was, but it has been going on. She's recalling memories from her childhood, but she doesn't know. In fact, one of the family members, my brother's oldest daughter, Apparently she asked who that was on Christmas. Now, I'm not sure that she didn't really know who she was. She only sees her maybe two times a year, 3 times a year. Maybe she really did not know who she was. I'm not certain. Or maybe I'm in denial. Maybe I'm still not wanting to believe that my mother really is failing to that capacity, that she didn't recognize her own grandchild. So going back to my niece's birthday, and I was telling my mother that I keep track of everybody. I have a list of birth dates. And when I do, every time it's a new year, I take out my calendar and I go right through the whole calendar and I write everybody's birthday in and how old they're going to be. So I keep that list, and then of course every year you add one to it. So whoever was 30 last year, this year they're going to be 31. So I made the list like that, and I put it in my desk, my little desk planner that I have. And I told my mother about it, and she said, "Oh, that sounds like I would need something like that." Which of course she would. She has far more to remember than I do. I don't remember everybody, but she tries really, really hard to keep up on birthdays of not only her 3 surviving children and our children, which would be her grandchildren, but she has great-grandchildren. And she tries to remember everybody. So I told her I would make her a copy of the list that I have, and I'll mail it to her. Because when it's bad weather like now, it's conceivable that I might not see her for a couple weeks. And since we just had this conversation, I know she'll be thinking about it. I'm going to get it in the mail today. So I typed it up yesterday for her, printed it, and I'm going to get it in the mail today. And she said, "Oh, yeah, that'll be really helpful." But yeah, it's like I was talking to my sister-in-law when she was pretty upset that my mother had forgotten her daughter. And it took me back to a time when my younger brother was dying of cancer. And my sister-in-law, same sister-in-law, she and I worked around the clock taking care of him. We had a schedule set up for friends and family, friends who were family. Came and took care of my brother. There was a schedule, and everybody came for however many shifts or however many hours they could, because he was never to be left alone. And on one occasion, my sister-in-law came to me and said, "You won't believe what just happened." And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Butchie doesn't know who I am." And I said, "What do you mean he doesn't know who you are?" She said, "I came into the living room, and he looked up at me," she said, "and he said to her, 'I don't know who that woman was that was just here, but I don't want her coming back here again.'" She said, "And the woman was me." She said, "There's nobody in the house but me." She said she went outside and cried a little and then came back in, and by that time, he was back to his normal self and he knew who she was. So it's in the back of my mind, these little lapses of memory, I signify them to impending death. Because when that instance happened with my brother, he probably only lived maybe another month after that, if even that. But again, that was cancer. My mother doesn't have cancer. She just simply is old. And we've been blessed to have her for as long as we have. There's not a lot of people that I know my age that still have their parents. So we know that we're blessed. And for me, I have come to realize that change in my life upsets me more than I am aware. It lingers in my head in secret spots and hides. And then some days I wake up and I can't understand why I'm not happy, why I feel depressed, why everything seems gloomy, and nothing's different than yesterday. I might have been laughing yesterday. I might have been happy, looking forward to the next day. The next day comes and it's not happy. That's when I realized that I store all these things in my head, and sometimes they just come out. And then I realized what they are. They're worries that I pushed back and I didn't think about, and I tried to hide. But but then they come forward and something sets them off and they all come rushing out of my head at the same time. So this instance with my mother not remembering how old her granddaughter was and thinking she was still in high school when in fact she graduated college several years ago. Going back now, I think to myself, all of a sudden I see it. A couple of weeks ago I came home from work and the furnace was broke. It's happened every year for the past, I don't know, 3-4 years. It's a very old furnace. It's from the 1970s. And God bless my poor sister. She owns this. I pay her rent to live here. I pay all my utilities. But the furnace, when it breaks, she pays for. Last year, she had to pay $1,000 for the water pump to get rebuilt because it's so old they don't have one like that anymore. You would think, why don't you just buy a new furnace? Well, my sister pays so much money in taxes, it would just blow your mind over here. This is, I think, the last year, is it this year? Taxes for this property over here, where this house and the other two that she has, I think it was $36,000. And then she has her own home, and the taxes on that, and 3 children, and me. So, yeah, $1,000 is a lot of money, and I feel terrible that she had to pay that to fix the furnace. And so they fixed it, and we were laughing, saying, well, that should be okay for the furnace for the next whatever. I opened up the garage door. It was cold, cold, cold outside. And I opened up the garage door and immediately I knew. I said, oh, I can't believe this is happening again. It was cold. I came in the house and it was cold in here. And immediately I get a sick feeling in my stomach. Oh my God, the furnace is off. So I called her. It was 8 o'clock at night. I had just gotten home from work. And she said, I'm in bed because she works overnights. She says, nothing I can do about it tonight. Cover up with lots of blankets and I'll try to take care of it tomorrow. Well, I did cover up with lots of blankets, and I froze all night long. I was shivering. I was so cold I was getting muscle cramps in my leg. So needless to say, I didn't get much sleep. And I didn't want to leave the oven on because some people say that you can die from carbon monoxide if you leave the oven on, which wouldn't have really helped that much anyway. It probably would have been mental because the oven is out here. My bedroom is down the hallway. So I didn't do that because I was afraid of dying in my sleep. I just suffered all night long until the next day I got up. And she got right on it. God bless my sister. She got right on it, and she got this guy to come. And it was a Saturday. And he was out there. I'm telling you, he had to be out there 8 hours working on it. Because the part that had failed was so old, he was hoping he could find one, and he could not. So they had to find something that was compatible and replace that part. So it took him a long time, but he finally did it. He finally replaced it. It's got to be the last part of everything that's been replaced in the 22 years I've been here. And I could have lost track how many times that furnace is broken. But boy, I'll tell you, you don't know what it's like to be able to walk in the door and you can feel that it's warm inside when you've had to suffer with it being cold many, many times. And so I noticed that I was starting to get calmer when I got home from work, and it was because I opened up the door and it's warm. When so many days I opened the door with trepidation, thinking that I was going to open that door and it was going to be freezing again. But each day I opened it and it was warm. I started to get a little bit more confident, a little more comfortable. So that was that depression trigger. And then another one came where I got my bills, because it's of course January. And every dime I had in December, even money I didn't have because I used a credit card, went to try to get gifts for my grandkids, my son. I bet you I owe $800 right now. It's more than my paycheck. So that comes to my mind. How am I going to pay these bills? What's the best way to go about this without losing anything in the process, without having anything shut off? So that's on my mind, but I pushed it to the back. Being fearful that I was going to walk into the house and it was going to be cold because the furnace broke again. That I pushed to the back. My mother being 91 years old and not remembering who her granddaughter was, or how old her other granddaughter was. I tried to push that to the back, but once I tried to cram it in there with all the other things that I already stuffed in the back of my head, it popped out. And I realized that's what was bothering me. That's why I wasn't happy. That's why I wasn't taking joy in the things I normally do. Is because all these things were weighing on my mind that I really wasn't conscious of. So I sat down and I started to write down, what things am I worried about? And that's when I realized I pushed them to the back of my head so much they couldn't stay there any longer. And I compare that to people I know that are so distraught over their life because they have problems like these and they don't know how to deal with it, and they struggle, and sometimes they reach out to other things to help them mask their problems, to hide their problems, to make their problems artificially go away. So I know how some people can do what they do, and in terms of using drugs or alcohol to survive. In my case, thankfully I can pray. My life wasn't always this way. My life was different. My life was scary, I think. But when I reached out to God and got an answer, I don't even know how to put it into words, and I've tried so many times to say what it feels like to know that I'm going to be okay. What it feels like to say that I sit down in the morning and I pray every morning. Every morning. And I say, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to accomplish anything today. I don't know how to feel good. I don't know how to be happy. Please, please help me. And I can tell you, it's almost like a vacuum cleaner that sucks away the dirt off the floor. It's like I get a feeling that I'm going to be okay. That everything is going to be okay. I don't have words for it. I just know that it's real. And I don't know how to share that in a way that makes it sound credible, logical, believable. I have come to the realization you can't make people believe in what you believe. They have to believe it for themselves. I'm a terrible example of what a good Christian should be. So I'm not an example. I can only tell you how I cope, how things are for me. But I can't hold your hand, and I can't give you the words to say, and I can't lead anybody to anywhere. I can only tell you that for me, I find relief, and I don't know if you want to use the word God or spiritualism or other being or some karma force, or I don't know what the words are they use these days. I just know that's the word I use. I'll use the word God because for me it fits. And I talk to God and I say, here's the story. Help me. And I'm okay. I don't know the answer. I don't know how I'm going to pay all these bills. But I will. I've had lots of bills before. Paid them. I've been sad before. And it goes away and I'm happy. That's why I make things for people. It makes me happy to see people get things that I've made and they say, wow, this is really nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. It makes me happy. It puts a happiness in my heart that nothing else does. They say it's better to give than to receive. When you've done something out of the goodness of your heart for someone else, the reward is in your heart instantly. I was at work the other night, and there was a patient and her mother-in-law, and I recognized her mother-in-law, an older lady, and she lives down the street from me here. and she has a German Shepherd dog. She's elderly. I mean, white hair, all like I have white hair too, but I mean, all of her hair is white. And I had seen her with a puppy. It was a German Shepherd puppy. And she was walking. I thought to myself, that is some optimism. That lady's got to be in her 70s, and she's got a puppy. You know, a dog that can live 15 to 20 years, and she probably won't. And I thought to myself, that is so cool. The optimism she had. She wanted a puppy, she went and got it. Even though she had to be in her 70s. In any case, this woman, I can't remember what her name is now, but she lives down the street, and I would go by, back and forth, going to and from work or whatever, every day. She's out walking that dog on the side of the road, and now, of course, the dog's full grown. So I saw her in the hospital. I said, you know, it took me a minute to realize who you were. I said, you're the woman with the German Shepherd dog that walks up and down the street by me. She goes, oh, you're so-and-so's sister. She goes, I love your car. I go, oh, my God. So we start talking about my skateboard car that I got that is so low to the ground that I get stuck in the snow all the time. Or on anything with a slope, the whole front end scrapes when I go in and out. Anyway, so we were talking. This was just day before yesterday. And her daughter-in-law was being discharged, and it was sooner than they had expected, and they didn't have a ride to get home. Now, it was pouring outside. This was just before the snow, the switch in the temperature changed the rain over to snow. It was pouring cats and dogs. Well, it was 7 o'clock p.m., and that's what time my shift ends. And I said to her, if you want to wait, I can give you guys a ride. And the lady, who's now got to be 80, said, oh, no, I'll just walk down the street and get my car and come back. And she said, I already went down the road once. And I said, you walked from the hospital down to your house in the pouring rain, pitch black outside? She said, well, yeah. She said, I took my car back home. And she said, and then I walked back up here because my son-in-law is going to pick us up, but he's not out of work yet. She goes, we'll just walk. I go, no. It's not that it's that far, but it's pitch black on a major highway they would have to cross. And this elderly lady had already done it. When she drove herself home and she came back, she had already crossed that highway. I've never crossed that highway. But in any case, I said, listen, I'm getting out of work. It's not a problem. I'll grab you guys, and you guys can ride with me, and I'll drop you off at your house. Oh, are you sure? Are you sure? Of course I'm sure. So they got ready. I went out, and we walked down to the time clock. I punched out, and I said, you wait here, and I will get the car, because there's no reason we should all run out in the rain. I said, I'll go get my car, and I'll pull back around, and you guys can get in. So I ran out through the parking lot, and boy, it was cold, and it was raining, and I got into my car, and I drove over, and they were waiting for me, and they hopped in, and they just wouldn't stop saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. Get to their house, I let them out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then the lady says to me, I owe you now, she said. I owe you a favor. I said, well, that's how it works. Do something good for somebody, somebody does something good for you. That's it. That's how it works. And it was adorable that's what she said to me. I got to do something good for you someday. And I said, okay, that's a deal. And, you know, those of us that have problems in life, wouldn't have so many problems if more people thought like that, if more people just did random acts of kindness. When you know people are down and out, help them. Now, I'm not saying you got to give people money, because that's what people say. I did a video one time before, and I was trying to express how even though my lifestyle is basically at poverty level, I still am able to do crafts. I'm still able to have fun. I'm still able to do things for other people. It was misinterpreted, and I was made out to be an e-bagger. It was a costly mistake that I learned. And so now when I try to explain my situation, it's not to say, oh, poor me, feel sorry for me. I'm trying to explain that I know how other people feel. I know what it's like to be depressed because you're down in the dumps financially or emotionally or physically. Because I have all of those things going on. And yet I am still able to find a way every day to want to be up and around and alive and doing things. But I can't say, do what I do, because you have to find it on your own. You have to find your own path, your own enlightenment, your own spiritualism, your own beliefs. But you can't just lay back and say, woe is me all the time. You have to make an effort. I go to work. I don't want to. The last days at work, I was in so much pain. My arthritis hurt so bad in my hips, my hands, my feet. The neuropathy is out of this world. The pain in my back, I can't barely walk. And yet I go to work. I go to work. I go to work. I won't stop. You have to put one foot in front of the other. Always force yourself one foot in front of the other. I didn't know I was going to be rambling on this long today. But it was in my mind that I wanted to make a video like this, that I wanted to talk about these things. Because I know there's someone out there that needs to hear that. There's always someone out there. I might make a video that no one likes, but one person does. I might make a bunch of posts on Facebook, and someone will say, that's exactly what I was thinking, or that's exactly how I felt. Always somebody. There's a reason why we say and do the things we do. And for some reason, I felt compelled to sort of explain what I call the funk I'm in, and how I realized what it was. That I sat down and analyzed that it was a bunch of fears that I had tucked away in the back of my head, and that I guess my brain said, that's enough. And now I'm forced to deal with it. And I recognized each one of the things that was bothering me. And then I realized that's why I'm in this funk. It's robbing me of my happiness and my joy. And it's not going to anymore. So I have a video to make and edit. I might make homemade bread today. I have granny squares to make. And people say to me, you're always doing something. Because I post all my stuff on Facebook. And my friends and family say, you are always making stuff, always busy. And I say, but that's how for me. That's how I deal with things. You have to recognize that sitting idle and being down in the dumps over your problems, it's bad. Do something. Do something. We were talking, my son and I, about his hobbies. He's got so many of them. And he's sad because he wanted to make a YouTube channel for years. So we finally did it. His son helped him. And I've been editing his videos and posting them for him. And he's only got, I don't know, 30-something subs. And he wanted to get 100 like on his first day. And I tried to explain to him, I don't remember how long it was before I got my first 100. And but he thought that people were going to love his videos. They were going to find everything that he finds interesting as he does. And it hasn't turned out quite the way he wants to. So I said to him, why don't we plan like a giveaway for your channel? And he's wanted to know what that was all about. And I said, well, typically when you say giveaway, or people call them now GAW, because the acronym GAW becomes GAW. Drives me nuts. A lot of people will sign on for that and then unsub you right away. So I was trying to explain to him how YouTube works. And I said, well, we could do a giveaway and say that that to be entered in the giveaway, they have to make a video shouting out your channel. And then in that way, it's a sort of a domino effect to gain more subs. And he said, well, we got to do something, Mom. He goes, I work so hard to come up with these ideas for the videos, and I don't seem to be getting that good of a response. I don't have any subs. And I said, well, technically, it says I have however many subs I have, but I really, of the ones who watch me faithfully, I don't know, 20 people that I am in contact with maybe on a real basis. That not that I know you, but I feel like I do. Because we've chatted back and forth over the years. But yeah, I know how he feels. I mean, because I see people that I think their channels are crap. And I look and I go, oh my God, they got 8,000 subs. I don't get it. I don't get it. And then I think to myself, remember, don't fall into this trap of, I must have more subs, I must have more subs. Go back to why I started my channel in the first place. Because media being what it is, vinyl records, cassette tapes, 8 tracks, Polaroid pictures, not DVR. What are they? That time has changed, and with it, the way we record and store our memories has changed. And I thought that YouTube would be a platform where I could put memories, and they would be safe for my grandchildren to see long after I'm gone. That was the reason I started doing YouTube videos. That, and because I wanted to share with other people the things I do, maybe motivate people to do what I do, like keep yourself busy, do this, do that. You don't have to be good at it. There's things out there you think about and you say, I could never do that. How do you know? Do it. So that was my thought process of my channel, and it still is. And so my son says, Mom, I don't have any subs. Nobody's watching my videos. I said, well, let's talk about this giveaway thing, and maybe what we'll do is give away some. He said, well, I can't give away animals. He goes, if I have a channel about animals, people would think I would give away an animal. And he goes, and I would like to. He goes, but there's just no way to do it. You can't mail animals. Well, I mean, you could, but the cost is kind of up there. And neither one of us is any financial situation to be able to do it. So I said to him, let me think about it, and we'll put together an announcement video where we'll talk about doing a giveaway or something to try to get subs for his channel. But in the meantime, if anybody wants to share my son's channel, I'll put the link in the description. Caves Critters. Let's see if we can get him some more subs, because his journey into the YouTube land so far has been pretty dismal, and he's not happy about it. So having said that, explaining of all this stuff, I have today off, which makes me incredibly happy. I have tomorrow off too. The third day off isn't as fun as the first two, because the third day off, I know that I have to be in bed by a certain time because, you know, the alarm clock goes off at 5 o'clock in the morning. If everybody says, oh, that was a stupid video. Nobody cares about you. Nobody wants to hear your problems. All you do is talk about your problems all the time. I don't really think that any of that's true. See you in the next video.